the new world, you don't have to be an equal channel of revenue. Just getting some revenue and doing something
Exactly.
that's useful has satisfaction and return. Willingness to try new things and to say let's experiment. And more than ever now, when you're coming out of it, some of the ideas that are coming up about we could do this and we could do that are pretty far-fetched and even dumb. But nowadays things are so unexpected that really supporting and encouraging family members to to try things out is there's less downside and more upside, since there isn't the current way of doing it is just not going to survive.
You allow that creativity, and I've seen a couple of examples of that kind of open thinking causing or resulting in sort of pivots in a business. And actually, this example I was thinking about earlier this morning to mention is not an example of an internally created pivot, but the openness and willingness to tolerate an externally driven pivot. One of the families I know reasonably well is a supplier of stuff to schools, to big school districts, and they typically been buying in sort of $100,000, $500,000 chunks. Well, of course, all of these school districts stopped buying two months ago. There's no summer programs. They knew that was coming. Funnily enough, word got out that his business, his family business, had been a supplier. Quite a few, actually, I think at this point, over 10,000 individual parents have come to their website and ordered.
Right.
The problem being, of course, that there's a lot of work there to package things in small $100 chunks, as opposed to the usual, $25,000 chunks. And his systems weren't set up for that. But he saw in there an opportunity to create, because he's a parent himself, to create something that he's calling boredom busters as a pack. And parents are coming in and pushing that button, buying the boredom buster, and he's sort of repackaged a bunch. So he was creative enough to see a way to take that pivot that was sort of forced upon him and make it into something. And I think, I'm not quite sure he's gotten up to the equal level of revenue yet, but it's a whole new channel that's open for him.
Well, in the new world, you don't have to be an equal channel of revenue. Just getting some revenue and doing something that's useful has satisfaction and return. And the return levels that people are used to are no longer operative in the same way. So, doing these little things.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Pierre.
I was just going to say, Dennis, you said it, the sort of creativity and trying things that might be a little bit crazy. This is not something you want to do if it's crazy, but the idea of maybe you're finding other people to hire or other markets that might become open here opportunistically to you, and to be willing to maybe give that a try, maybe to have the dry powder to do it, but most importantly to have the creativity in your thinking to allow you to consider, well, I've always been thinking about hiring a PR person, and here are some PR people that are sort of out of business right now. Maybe I should bring one of them on board and start them with this challenge. So that kind of thinking can be very valuable.
A business coach that I was introduced to, and I apologize, I don't remember the person's name, but Dennis, you said you have to be careful that you're not too far out there. And he gave a really good way to think about, how far you should go. And he talked about, if you grab your thumb, and that is your core strengths, that's your core purposes, your core processes, this is what you're really good at. You can probably easily go to here, and you might be able to go this far away. But when you start getting to these fingers, you're off base, and they don't have the strength that you get from here. So be careful that you're not too far away from what your core purposes are. I just thought it was a great example to share with people.
It's a balance.
Thinking through these things. Yeah. How do we, today we do X, Y, Z. Tomorrow we're going to do A, B, C, and they're just worlds apart different. Just because there's an opportunity there doesn't mean to use the opportunity, because you have to be good. It has to be part of your core processes, your core competencies.
It does. But again, to balance that, Michael, some folks, some business owners get stuck in tunnel vision about what they do, how they do it, the processes they've put in place. So be willing to open that, to not get stuck in that tunnel vision. But as you're saying, Michael, don't go too far. There's a
Right.
this balance. Yeah.
Well, but this is for one person or one business. But if you have, you know, like a half dozen family members, and they have different, not only have they grown up in different worlds, and they've seen different things, and they have different passions, you can, you know, do worse than saying, well, that doesn't. It seems far-fetched to me, but who am I? You know, I've only grown up doing what I do. So maybe you can educate me, and maybe you should really take this seriously and bring it back as an idea, and let's learn from it. And so I think encouraging people to go out, but also to come back with an opportunity to the family. And again, you have a lot of different new core strengths in the new generation that you may not have thought were relevant, and now all of a sudden, hey, and I have a lot of situations where the second or third generation had a bigger, you know, kind of innovative idea that even the first and second generation did, and it just happened that the family said, "Wow, we're gonna support that."